With that, we move on to our next webinar, which is on the emerging trends in leisure travel during and post COVID-19 pandemic. And the panel will be moderated by Shesh Sheshadri, Director and General Manager, Lonely Planet India. Shesh has been with us for a very long time. Welcome, Shesh, after OTM. Over to you now for the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. This is a great opportunity for all of us to get together and talk about the tourism industry. Thank you, Fairfax Media, OTM, for making this possible. Most of us by now, in the last couple of months, very familiar with the virtual conferences. So everybody must be really tuned in to understand how to tackle this. So we should all be happy that we're able to hold such a conference despite the challenging times or despite the interesting times. So thank you, participants, for coming along and listening to us. Everybody uses a word called post-COVID. When this topic came to me for discussion, it had only post-COVID, and I requested that the topic be changed to during COVID and post-COVID. The reason is because when I ask around people, do you know when post-COVID is? Nobody has an answer for that. So I think what we should be today discussing about is what are we going to do during this COVID period, since it looks like it's going to be extended, and probably we can then think about what happens post-COVID. So we are talking about emerging trends in leisure travel during and post-COVID-19 pandemic. I think one of the fundamentals that we need to understand is all of us in industry should start conveying to most travelers as to how safe we are and how soon we can be back in business. It's easily said and done, but even if you look at the statistics, if 630 odd districts are in India and a mere 30 or 35 districts are affected, why should we penalize the remaining 500 odd districts just because of that? So we need to think about what are the areas which are safe, which you can open, which you can shout about, so that every stakeholder in the industry should validate and demonstrate what are the areas which are safe for travel. Because as I said, we can't be sitting back and saying, wait for post-COVID. We need to get up and say, during COVID, what's the best I can do? So the collective action that we need to take is about that kind of messaging. Of course, we shouldn't be lying. We should be absolutely true to the traveler because it's their safety that's involved. All of you know the statistics that we rank 34th among the 140 countries in the Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Index. And that's a great position to be in for India, even under these circumstances. So with that sort of preliminary introduction, we'll be listening to a panel of experts and listen to their views, ideas in terms of reviving the tourism sector, both in the near term and in the short term. Well, the modern trend is not to read long bios of each and every panelist. Everybody knows how to Google or how to go into their LinkedIn and find out who they are. So I would allow the participants to do that instead of taking away your time introducing each one with a long bio. The format is going to be very clear. We're going to put two questions to each panelist in the beginning, giving them 4 minutes each to talk about their views. And then we'll go back and ask two more questions in the reverse order and once again get their views. I would encourage you as participants throughout this conversation, continue to message us if you have any specific questions. Sometimes if you postpone asking the questions, you may not remember. So do ask the question as it comes to your mind. Text us, message us, and we will take those questions towards the end and try and answer as many as we can. So I'm now going to pose the first two questions to Neeraj Singh Dev, SVP and Head of Thomas Cook India. The first question is, everyone is talking about health and safety protocols to promote safe and seamless travel. Everybody wants to restore confidence and support travel and tourism. People are a little confused about how to do marketing promotion under the present circumstances. So for you, the first question answer is, the question is, are we ready as a country for this? Which pockets and segments do you believe are ready today and may be ready in the short term? That was the question. Sorry about the long question. The second one is easing of international travel restrictions will result in intense competition as all countries will start targeting same markets. When I say markets, the moment somebody knows there are 10 cities which are safe, everybody will want to promote and run to that place, right? So, what do you think should be India's approach? These are the two questions. Neeraj.
Yeah, thank you, Shesh. Thank you for giving me opportunity for FS. Uh, I think the answer to your first question in terms of what should we be doing and what should be the approach during the COVID period, I think the first point is for any travel company or a tour operator, or for that matter, any organization which is affiliated with this particular sector. The first is to realize and accept the situation and accept the situation that this virus is not going to go away soon, or the vaccine is not going to, act as a, something, a panacea which will probably, throw away or eliminate all the fears in customers or people's mind. I think that is the first thing people need to do. And second point is once you have accepted the ground situation and you start from scratch. I think the second important point, my recommendation to the trade would be everybody needs to, realign themselves and accept that we are going to start from zero. Whether you are a big company, whether you are $1 billion company, or whether you are a 10 crore company, everybody start from zero, because the past data, the past experience may help you to come back, but the past data is of no relevance today. So if you want to, if as a company, as a business head, if I want to do a forecast for 2021 or a 2022, I have no relevance of the background which we've been living till 2019. I think that's the first two things, as a business professionals. Third part is, what are the segments people should focus on, what people should talk about and spend their efforts, money, in promoting. I think it's very clear. People are getting edgy, and people are getting frustrated being at home for more than 6 months now. People are looking for break, and any place, whether big or small, doesn't matter. If it is able to give comfort to the customer through their protocols, through their SOPs, through their the evidence that they have done enough to ensure safety and hygiene of the place, people are willing to go there. And some of the trends what we are going to see in next 1 to 2 years at least would be the big cities, the popular cities. I think they will go downhill. I don't see they coming back to their normal at least for next 2 to 3 years. It would be a long journey for them, especially for very popular tourist destinations, the crowded destinations. They're not going to recover too soon, because there's a perception. This has gone into the psyche of Indian consumer by and large. Crowd means chance of getting infected. I think that's how the media has played. That's how the whole the health authorities have played. So people are looking for secluded. People are looking for remote places, and we have come to a belief that farther we go, loner we are, the chances of infection are less, and chances of holidaying is better. So we would see places, very far places which are not very easily accessible, not having a great infrastructure. People would start traveling there. Of course, nearby would pick up. You will have staycations. I think these are some of the words which have been coined during the COVID period, and sometimes overused. You have staycations, workations. People are staying for short stays. People are looking for the places of not the big hotels but smaller boutique places. So people I have started, and I must say that uh, the worst is over, and recovery has started to happen. But with a caveat that this recovery is going to be painful and very, very slow. It's not going to be a hockey stick. What we had forecasted, I think many of the media I read about revenge travel. I don't think it's going to happen soon. Till the time this people forget about virus, or the memory goes off. These are my. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, sure, sure. I mean, I'm going to come back and ask a few things about you, particularly your reference to the media, which will come back later. So I'm going to go to Vinay Gupta, founder and CEO of Trip Factory, to take on the same two questions and give his views, please.
Well, my views, good afternoon, everyone. My views are very similar to Neeraj. I think the worst is over. I'll start from there. Secluded destinations, safe protocols. And I think so. I'm not the only unique character on the panel who would say that. But the only thing I would add to is that how do you communicate what is safe to your clients has to go digital, right? Is how do you basically aggregate what is safe to be presented to your clients? How do you present a bouquet of choices to them? And that's where we've actually tried to focus during the last 6 months to say the biggest thing which is going to change tomorrow is the choice set. The biggest thing which is going to change is the provider set. And how does an average travel company who's including us, right? Like I always say, right? I've been unemployed for 6 months now. So how does everyone really, with the limited resources that they're left with, right? And whether they are time, whether they are cash, whether they are people, are still able to do a great job, right? I think that's what I believe. Is the key focus, apart from the fact that we have to pick the right properties, we have to be able to do the destinations. They'll be near, secluded, like Neeraj just rightfully said, people getting the confidence. But how do you allow all that to happen at a click of a button to your clients, and then they can click back to do things to you? So we've been focused on saying that while we're not capable of doing a medical vaccine, what I see as a trend, but I think so the digital vaccine for the trade is what we've been working at, is to say how do you provide a digital vaccine to 500,000 people around the world to be able to sort of relive their lives in a post-COVID era with lesser resources, lesser people, same clientele, different solutions, yet not more effort, but the same earning. So I think we've tried to solve Shesh things a little differently around that, and that's my sort of answer to these 2 points.
Yeah, sure. I think the listeners will be benefited if we can later on expand on the digital vaccine and look at what do they do to do the digital vaccine and get the growth momentum using that as a platform. It will be very interesting to hear that.
Sure.
I'll go to Jyoti Mayal, chairperson of Travel Association of India. I think you are carrying a large group of people who are definitely impacted by this, and they're obviously looking for some great opportunities to reopen. So it'll be very interesting to see what you have gathered from your members and what your views are.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I went on mute again. Sorry. I just wanted to put this in the right picture that I'm not the chairperson of TAI. I'm the president of the Travel Agents Association of India on the national in the whole country. And I'm also on the Skill Council as the chairperson of Skill Council PHSC, and I'm also the vice chair of Faith. But to take that in the perspective of talking, yes, it's very easy for all of us to keep saying sitting on these webinars and saying, hey, we want to travel. Hey, digital is here, technology is here, let's travel. And I think it's going to be very, very challenging. It's not so easy. Like I've always said, and you started off with that what are the safety protocols and what is the medical thing and what is that. So how do we restore the confidence is going to be playing the first role of it. And how motivated are we to actually get that confidence on the roads, on the aircrafts? Yes, travel is happening. I'm not saying travel is not happening, because people just cannot live or die in a room. They have to move forward. They have to, wherever it's a necessity, they need to, the essential travel needs to start. And that's what we are seeing in India. It is nothing beyond essential travel. Maybe I'm very frustrated sitting at home and I could have moved out for one side trip to, maybe I live in Delhi, it could be Jaipur or Shimla. But seeing the SOPs in place, seeing the, the challenges that I have to go through, taking an e-pass in most of the states and moving forward is going to be still challenging. So it's very easy for us to say that let's move out, let's go, it's going to happen. It is not going to happen. And we need to face the facts. I am as much aware or knowledgeable about this COVID-19 as you are, or as a layperson is, because though we are reading more and watching more, but I think no one knows what tomorrow is like. We see that this suddenly starts surging. We suddenly see that the countries are again closing down. Again, borders are being closed, and people are now taking a view that they may open next year in March or January or February. So every country, every continent is taking their own decision. And that's what I say. I see all of us sitting here on the webinar. We all sitting at home. Are we out on the leaving? I think Vinay. I think we all are sitting at home. So are we out to actually give confidence to our staff that we can actually give the same confidence to the traveler? We need to get out first. And that is the biggest challenge which we are going to face. And when you said about the ways of travel, yes, we need to put the right facts of how we can start traveling. And that is what the government needs to do that. And that is what, as TAI, we've been advocating very strongly. The RT-PCR test that is now coming into process is basically initiated by TAI. And we've sent them presentations built with Roche, which actually gave that how antibody testing should come into place to open our offices, and how RT-PCR should be coming into process when our international travelers landing into India, or we also traveling domestically. We need to see how we are going to protect. Because we don't only need to protect ourselves, but we need to protect the people around us, because they are all our friends, our colleagues, our travelers, and the entire world. It's a community. So I think travel has moved beyond being a country, beyond being a state. It's now a community. It's like the whole world has come under one pandemic, and that is how we need to motivate the entire sect of this world to travel. So that I feel is very, very important. And like I've said it at many other forums, that what is different in India that is not there in America, and what is different in Jaipur, which is not there in Gujarat. Yes, I understand that states have like Maharashtra, we know, is actually surging, but there are containment areas which need to be blocked. Those nearly need to be a no-no for anyone to go into. But there are areas which are safer. So that's how we need to actually start building up. Because vaccine, I know there are 176 vaccines that are in process right now to be coming into practice. But we don't even know if one is going to come in October, November, December, January. WHO says nothing for 6 months. So it's struggling with all that. We need to see how we really need to overtake this in our own way, be safe, maintain social distancing, maintain hygiene, sanitization, and that, because those are the new norms. The demographic of a traveler is going to totally change. It's not going to be the same traveler who was yesterday, like Neeraj said. It's not the same state carrying the same SOPs. So the new national tourism policy is being adopted by the entire country. We've been playing, and associations have been playing a very large role to bring that right SOPs now into place, which is going to be, that's how you need to look. And you said about India being different. Everyone is going to be looking at India and, how people should be selling India. I think India has its own, it's a plethora of, offerings that we have. It's like we have from beaches to mountains to rivers to, adventure. We have it all. I think India should be the best placed in this whole world to actually promote tourism in the right format, because I think tourism can never go away, and crises do bring opportunities. So people need to explore how to go about it more, how to actually market the products that they are doing. Yes, technology is going to play a very big role, like Vinay said, because virtual reality is the thing of the now of the past also, and the present. Future could be much more than only virtual reality. And that's going to play a lot. I need to be safe when I'm traveling. So from my house to the destination and back home, I need to see where I'm traveling, how I'm traveling, what are the SOPs in place, what are the hotels looking like, what are the restaurants looking like. So I need to put that, and I'm sure the people who are into technology platforms, and that's what we're encouraging our members to get into technology, virtual tourism, so that they can actually motivate the traveler to get out and travel. And like I said, India is a huge country. We know how we can actually get the travel on into the way it is social distancing, or it could be hygiene, which are the states we should be actually supporting, which are the states that we should be working together with to see that domestic tourism grows much faster. And with the RT-PCR test, when an inbound traveler comes in, because that's a business we need to look into, because the export of our country is actually on the foreign exchange earnings. And we actually, as tourism, are holding 9.2% of the GDP. So we need to see that process happening, and happening very strongly. So we need to put that thing in the right perspective to see that there is no quarantine. No country should actually be having quarantine rules and regulations into place, because you need to move, you need to get out, as long as you're sure that you are going to be given medical attention wherever you go. So you need to carry your insurance with you. You need to be protected by medical, and you need to know how the states are reacting to medical and how the countries are. So that information needs to be more filtered in. Thank you.
Okay. I think I'm a little bit of out of the box guy. So I have to tell you that in 19 I did 102 flights, and in 2020 I had done only 16 flights till March. Then I said so much is being written in the media, so much is being talked about. So I actually took a trip, not as a tourist, but I wanted to check out on what's going on in the country, right? So I flew from Delhi to Chennai, drove from Chennai to Bangalore, and then took a small train journey just to check this as to what is happening. So let me tell you, I mean, I want to speak from the heart and be honest about it. I did not see any change from my travel prior to COVID and during COVID, except because I was sitting on a window seat, I had to wear a mask and a shield. Otherwise, my travel had zero change between the way I traveled in 2019 and 2020. So I'm saying this both from a positive perspective and from a negative perspective. Nobody checked me, nobody tested me. I mean, nobody even checked my e-pass. And as the flight stopped, we were exactly the same as before. Everybody shouldering each other, banging on each other to get off the aircraft. No social distance was formed. And I was very interesting that I saw that expectant mothers, children, families were all on the flight, and my flight was full. And I'm talking about both the flights. When I came back, it was full. It was a different afternoon flight. And I took a Sunday flight, that was also full. So all I'm saying is there are people who have already decided saying, go to hell, I'm traveling, right? That's the attitude I saw in the last 3 weeks when I have done almost 5 trips using all forms of transport. So at least I, for one, who can tell you that I'm not doing armchair travel, I've actually done physical travel. So with that few sort of comments, I'll now go to Riaz Munshi, President of the Outbound Tour Operator Association, and hear his views. Over to you, Riaz. You're on mute.
So, yeah, perfect. So what I have been taking a clue from all my friends. Good afternoon, everyone. As Neeraj has rightly mentioned, that everybody is going to start from zero. So the key points are going to be a relationship and knowledge. See, you cannot work in a previously the way you used to work. We all need to see work out on what we wanted to sell, what is our target audience, and accordingly we have to work and make a product. We have to have a thorough knowledge of what we are selling. It's not going to work copy and paste kind of what we used to do. It's not going to work like hotel this or similar. People are going to traveler are going to ask you which hotel categorically, which destination. So the relationship and knowledge are going to be a key point. all travel companies need to see what is their market segment. They have to build their product around their market segment, and then they have to make a strategy how they are going to penetrate in that market and how they are going to market their product. And the informations are going to be a key. You need to say what you are selling. You have to have absolute all the information with you. Without that, it's going to be very difficult. You have to be very mindful in choosing your destination and the hotel both, all the accommodations. What rightly said, maybe the wellness and the resorts which are located little bit away from cities are going to be in demand. The resorts who have in-house facilities for entertainment will get more demands, because people would not like to move out. They would like to stay at one place, one resort, one cities, spend more time rather than hopping on to the multiple cities or to the different category of hotels. So all keeping all that thing in mind, and look, dynamics are going to be changed. We have to keep that in mind. It's life versus money. People are not going to be price conscious. It's going to be knowledge and product driven. The relationship, I would like to even request the stakeholders, particularly airline and hotels, that they should also look at a different prospect of how they are going to promote their product from Indian market. If they are going to start burning the similar kind of a million of rupees in a rat race to take the end consumer, then I don't think it's going to work. They have to strengthen the relationship with the travel companies. They have to make sure that they do not undercut the travel companies, that encouragement, and they can take the advantage of their extended arms. Also, now we have seen during the COVID, since we think that the vaccine is a little bit away, that all the if we see the all key points have been redesigned, or they have been redesigned in a such a way to protect the travelers from COVID-19, starting from the airport to the airlines to the baggage check-in, baggage received to the immigrations. So in case all the checkpoints are in a place, it's very easy to open up for the travel and tourism. The entire world should open the tourism, so at least they can have a recovery of their economy. The employment can be generated, and at the same time, the confidence level will build up for our travelers slowly and steadily. As we all have said, how we are going to give a confidence to the travelers that they are safe. Only our knowledge and our confidence, and in case all SOPs are in place, it's very easy now. Either we can have a certification, like a passenger can carry negative certificate and travel, or we can have a check at the airport, and then if in case the people are positive, they can travel. We have to be little bit more careful now, because we have heard recently, even I was reading in the newspaper, that Air India, Dubai has restricted Air India Express to travel because 18 passengers were found with the COVID positive. So we have to be little careful, but I think this is a time that travel and tourism should start, and we have to build up slowly. We have just witnessed the pent up demand. As soon as the Indian hotel and resort have started, I would glad to know that all the resorts in and around Maharashtra, or maybe Mumbai in particularly, Rajasthan and Delhi, are almost full on the weekends. And you are going to see similar kind of a trend for other states and cities as soon as they remove the restrictions. And I'm sure similar kind of trend will be witnessed for even international as soon as flight resume. And we all know it's not going to start in one go. It has to go in a phases. So I strongly believe that travel and tourism should start now all across the world, and that will I'm sure people know now. For it's been a few months, people know how to protect themselves. Everybody is careful, particularly if we are talking about the tourist. Whoever is going to travel, they are going to be extra careful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it'll be, my team did some research for me, and, particularly Mr. Riaz, 24 million Indian tourists traveled abroad, as the statistic shows, and spent around
Right.
$25 billion. And there is a belief that most of them are likely to stay back and spend that money in India. So it will be very interesting to see how do you see outbound from 24 million, what number is going to go down or go up, and we can probably listen to you later on that. Shivani, is Mr. P.P. Khanna not on the panel? Shivani, are you there? Because I saw the name on the agenda, but I don't see him on.
I think he lost his internet.
Yes, Mr. PP Khanna will be joining. Yes, he's lost his internet connection.
All right, all right. So, in which case, we'll go after the next two sets of questions. I think the one is very important where we also talked about the vaccine. International travel we talked about, but everybody is talking about moving into technology. So, what we need to look at is as an industry, are we well prepared? Are we ready? Are we in a position to tackle the way technology and travel are weaved together? We need to look at that. And also, I heard from the news media that Faith has proposed that we hold a Indian tourism mart for the international tour operators to come and probably meet around the 4th week of November. Do you see it's a good idea? Do you see a lot of participation? How do you think your organization is going to support this exercise? So we're going to go on this on a reverse order. So we're going to start with Mr. Riaz talking about the third and fourth question that I just raised. Over to you, Mr. Riaz.
So digital is a key. Now it's not going to be whether you like it or whether you don't like it. You all have to have a presence. You have to be a professional. You have to see how you are going. You have to make a strategy, and you have to see how we are going to grow. You see, Indian market will go digitally also simultaneously work offline as well. But then you have to have a presence on digitally to check about how customer is going to verify your credential. So it's very, very important to have a digital presence. But I still see there is a big gap about the technologies company in India. You are not which are giving a solution in a budget cost or a nominal cost. All the companies either are the very big companies, they are charging quite high. I have been talking to one of the member yesterday, and he told me to suggest some companies which can do their work in a few lakh rupees. And he said he has already checked with all companies, and all good companies are not talking about less than 15 to 20 lakhs to make a one travel solution online. So keeping that in mind, everybody cannot afford that kind of amount. So there is a big gap of going to digital, but you need to have a presence in digital media. And the market is going towards that. People are going to see whether they buy offline or online, but they would like to check what product you are offering, what is there for you to offer, and from there they will judge you from that whether how good you are of selling your product. So digital is going to be a key, and we all have to need to have a presence in digital media. We have to promote our product through digital media. So naturally, you have to have, it's like a showroom. You have to have a showroom for a footfall. In case you don't have a showroom, the footfall is not going to happen. So you need to and you have to create a good product what you are selling. You don't have to copy from someone else. You have to make your own product. You have to display your own product to sell. Thank you.
Yeah, on the lighter side, in the technology world, people who have showroom are complaining about showrooming as well. If you go and look at the word showrooming, so there is always a challenge between the showroom and the showrooming.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jyoti, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Thank you again. Yes, technology is going to play a very role, and it's not been like since today. But we've suddenly started realizing that it is very important part of our lives. After being here on webinars day in and day out, and coming on to all virtual platforms, I think in this country I've used them in this 6 months. So one does realize what technology is going to be playing tomorrow. Saying that not only as technology, because we are working from home now. So that can only happen if you have a strong backing of technology. And Vinay being a totally technology person is going to endorse that with me, I'm sure. But yes, as TIE, I'm going to talk about TIE. We have already worked out and we are already working with a company where we are giving technology platform to our members. We're already in the point of closing down, and we will be very soon launching that product. And the entire industry, we are going to give it to them. And it is something like they will pay as while they use. That is the structure we'd like to actually give that to our members to take it forward. And one page can differ from the others because it is your platform. How you make it is going to be yours. And we've seen that not only technology in the form of doing business, that even the technology in the form of skilling and upskilling is going to happen only through technology. So that's exactly what I said, that the virtual platforms have played a very significant role. And the person-to-person touch may not be the confidence of every day, but the business needs to move on. And we need to actually develop and embrace the product that we need to, take forward with. Saying that, we also need to say that, with technology, we don't all have to go like our dear friend said, Riaz said here, that it is expensive and how we have to, but we can always use shared resources, because that is the need of the hour. We need to collaborate, cooperate, and use share resources to take our associations forward, so that we can actually come, because we know the demographic is changing. We need to actually reinvent, reboot, and restructure our industry, and that will only happen with technology playing a very, very vital role. Yes, I agree, there are a lot of members who still are not wanting to go out. So we may come into the hybrid form, we may come into formats where we are using both. But yes, it is going to be very important. As a matter of fact, the government itself, the Ministry of Tourism itself, has been working on a lot on projects. We've had a lot of dialogues with them, and they have been doing webinars non-stop, and it's all happening through technology and educating the entire country with all Dekho Apna Desh, which is a huge, very good initiative. And everyone is getting educated on how to travel. Not only that, they are also working on a platform where they are trying to get all our travel consultants, travel advisors, the agent community on one platform to use it to actually showcase the entire of India. And on the SOPs involved, on the way of travel involved, could be railways, could be air, could be hotels. That platform is already ready. We are just actually looking at it and tweaking it, and very soon it will be launched literally free for all the associations to be used. So that will be another aspect which even the country is motivating us, and they are also in their BIS. They've also said, and the MDA that they developed, that they are going to be funding the agents in some format, maybe once a year, twice a year, to see how they can adopt technology even in the smallest way. So I think that will be a great initiative for the entire country to move on. Coming to Faith, yes, Faith has been very actively involved with the ITM, and we have proposed 2 windows with the government. And, it's a great initiative, because even in this lockdown period, we are seeing a lot of this happening. We need to connect not only with our own friends and Indians and stakeholders in our country, but we need to actually connect with the people outside to show what India is at this time and what it's going to be for the future. Because we are not only looking at 1 day role and a 1 week role and a 1 year role, we are looking at the future of India and the tourism, how it's going to develop more. And I think India is going to be standing, like I said earlier, very strongly where tourism is concerned for inbound tourism. We are actually expecting buyers to be participating much more, because earlier it was in reality that they had to fly down personally. But I think we are expecting more than 500 buyers to be on board. Of course, these buyers are all credentialed buyers, and they are approved by the Ministry of Tourism. It's a joint venture with the Ministry of Tourism, basically. So we do that. And under the umbrella of Ministry of Tourism, we'll be having all state tourisms to participate in it, to take this great demand forward. And we at TAI are always looking forward to opportunities to actually do something for the industry. And we are very passionate about travel and tourism, and we need to take it forward for sure. Yes, I agree.
Excellent.
That times. Yeah.
Excellent. So I see Mr. Khanna is back. I'm going to come back to you, sir. I'll come back to you in a minute. I think what I wanted to say it in a lighter vein is that if you look at pre-COVID, lots of destinations were selling what they call it as digital detox. They said, we will give you places where you will not be connected, you will have no internet connectivity. And look at the human behavior analysis now. Everybody is now saying go digital. So, I mean, that's how we are. We are reactive. We always operate in a different fashion. So I thought I'll just mention that how even attitudes and aspirations and approaches changes in life. So I'll go to Vinay before I go off to Mr. P.P. Khanna. So Vinay, you want to take the last third and fourth question and answer those. Particularly, there are a lot of questions that have come up. If you can also dwell upon the digital vaccine a little bit.
Yeah,
Vinay, you have to unmute.
Okay, sorry. So if everything just sounds the same.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So what we've done is we've come up with a platform called Nexus, which is independent of anything that exists out there. Basically, it's a platform where you can do business with all the stakeholders in 200 countries in the world. And what we're doing here is basically bringing in the core infrastructure, right? Which is basically a presence for the travel agents, a way for DMCs to come in, and for basically enabling trade. Like, for example, uh, if I were to take you to one of these websites, which we have, which says testholiday.com, every agent in the world now can, within 2 to 3 minutes, at the cost of 1 rupee 20 paisa per day, right? You don't even spend that kind of money on water right now. You spend more money, where they can have their products live, which are something where a consumer can come in, price them, and actually be able to customize them. This technology doesn't exist on the planet today, right? And what we've done in the last 6 months is actually to develop this technology, and the entire backend of this whole technology rests in the hands of people. So this whole website of Nexus that I showed you is also built with this technology. So people can actually go and maintain what they have. So what we're basically trying to do is, till now we used to hear about like this entire website, right? And if you see my email, the interesting part is, look at how the travel trade is going and creating their own websites, right? Because it is at 1 rupee per day, and it is world class, it is international class, it just works. And these are websites which people have created out of this platform. They're hosting it, and what they can do with it is to actually pick a bouquet of products that they want from their DMCs or themselves. So what we're doing is we're really trying to enable people to be able to do that. And what we've done for that is basically created a very simple way for people to come in. And this is a neutral platform. It is not something which Trip Factory is running. This is run by the operators themselves, the people who come in to buy and sell. And like we introduced, 15 years ago, how to sell tickets, holidays, now people can also basically build their website from scratch, using this platform. We're the first company in the world to be able to create a platform like this, where every agent can create something world class for himself. And if you see this website that you were seeing live is entirely managed through this platform. So basically, to cut this short, right, and to come back, what we've done is basically said that we need to create technology almost like air. You can breathe, it's free. Because the biggest challenge, like Riaz said, is there are companies which are coming and creating third-class technology which doesn't connect seamlessly across the world and asking a bomb for it.
Yeah.
Right now, you will not believe we have more than 100 people creating websites every day, and they're all live, world-class, completely online, where customers can go customize to the last. So I think our gift to tourism is really about saying that digital backseat basically means it's free for everyone first.
Excellent. Thank you.
Allow everyone to connect with everyone.
Yeah. So before I go to Neeraj, maybe Mr. Khanna can give us your views on the current situation, the role the technology is likely to play, and what do you see as the potential growth for the tourism or the revival for the tourism. You've got 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, first of all, sorry for the interruption, and now I would like to now describe very now in such a way that it is time to unlock the tourism, and it is time to reinvent, to rebuild, to reconstruct. We are talking about digitally. Yes, of course, we have to do digitally a lot of things, but under this new divership, who may put a lot of restrictions on the tourism travel, but let me tell you, the desire of the travel will never die from the people's mind. And to create that, what exactly the government is doing, I would like to state that each state has its own policies, its own guidelines, and they people are working. I mean, everybody is now confused at the moment that what exactly is the areas where we can travel, what are the destinations we can travel, and we are at present we are at the crossroads. Now take the examples of yesterday. Himachal had announced that they have opened their doors, but take the instance of one sector of that Spiti, where exactly the tourism of that Spiti, the society, they said we are not open till the end of this year. So it is a lot of confusions amongst ourselves that what exactly is the requirement of the people and where exactly they go. But yes, to create the confidence in the minds of the people, it's very safe to travel. We all have to, tour operators have to take some kind of initiative to come out of that, the houses, and we have to create something. Like Mrs. Mayal said, yes, somebody has to come out, and who will come out? And let me take my own example that last week on 4 to 6 of September, we took this initiative to go out. We had gone to Rajasthan. We had visited, the Welcome Heritage Shikhavati. We have visited, that the Mandava Castle and the desert. So these kinds of initiatives, unless until will not take, we cannot ask for that people to go out. So it is a fight to fight together with carpet bombing, actually, to 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 create the the confidence in the people's mind that what exactly we have to do. Without the confidence, we cannot really create the tourism in our country. And we have shown a lot of social medias, newsletter, that exactly we have moved out of that, so that people also understand that everything is safe, provided yes, all the norms and the norms and the guidelines have been taken by that particularly. And to create this confidence, revival of the tourism depends on how the state tourism and the local bodies are going to ensure strict compliance. Strict compliance, I mean to say that they should be taking all this monitoring of WHO guidelines, WTTC guidelines, and the Ministry of ICMR guidelines. These are very important. Unless until it is not safe to travel, yes, we have seen that after going out to the Rajasthan, that everything was so well organized by the hoteliers, and we are very happy to see that. So this is exactly I want to submit here.
Yeah, I think one of the experiments that we are going to try from Lonely Planet, which we are thinking of doing, is that I think people are very scared. So the one way we got to do digital usage and the actual traveler is to get real people actually currently traveling to real places to speak from those places and get that broadcast in terms of I'm here with my family, I'm traveling, this is where I am, these are the safety, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, right? That's something that has got to populate. When the more and more people are currently traveling who do Insta walk or come on a video chat or talk on a Facebook chat and talk to people saying, don't worry, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's that's because otherwise what is happening is a lot of rhetoric, lot of narration, lot of big words, but nobody's believing us because they are all thinking we are marketing ourselves and we want business. But I think what we need to talk about is the reality in terms of catching real people traveling. So I'll just give 2 minutes to Vinay before I go to answering the questions on your views on the technology and our readiness for it. Vinay. I'm sorry. I'm talking to Neeraj. My apologies. Neeraj.
Neeraj, you're on mute.
I think what COVID did in last 6 months, probably, travel trade put together wouldn't have done in, next 10 years as far as the tech is concerned. So my sense is, see, tech is a hygiene now. Tech is a bedrock for any business. Tech should not be considered as a, the external environment or something which is also one of the pillar of the business. Tech is not any vertical. Tech is the, it's a platform. on which you do actually do business. Now, two things, so first is that. The second point is, I think there are two set of people we have in the industry. One set of the people who are actually scared of tech adoption. And they have been scared and they have not changed the way they used to work. And they are pretty happy because they always felt they've got some unique product offering. They have a set of customers, whether tech or not, these customers are their loyal customers. The second set is the people who have come in the new generation. I would say the millennial generation who joined the travel industry, especially the fragmented section I'm talking about. These guys are very tech savvy. They understand what the tech world is all about. They understand tech means scalability. Please remember, if you want scalability, invest on technology. If you want to be you want to ride on somebody's platform, you are happy with your set of customers, you are happy with the region you serve to, I don't think you need to get paranoid about technology. Just ride on somebody else's. If you see, there are so many millionaires on Amazon and Flipkart seller system. They have not created Amazon or Flipkart on their own. They have gone into, they have rode on the shoulders of what Amazon and Flipkart was reading. You can't compete on the logistics and the customer service of the giants. The best is you ride on them. So what I foresee is there would be consolidation. The people who are not able to understand and quickly learn and adapt on these various formats and adopting technology, it doesn't mean that you invest and you create and you start coding or you sign up on a SaaS model with some platform. It does not mean that, because there is no single solution to every travel agent. Everybody has to understand what his need is and basis on that build. If you have the capability, if you have the knowledge, my suggestion would be, and if you want the scale, then invest on technology.
I think there are no two words about it. I think the pandemic came as a supporting system to make tech an enabler. More and more people are adopting to technology at various levels, not only in the travel industry, across industry. But I think what we need to be careful about is that, showing a virtual reality tourism is different from taking the tourism yourself in person. So tech can be an enabler for a number of things, but it cannot replace me going and having my personal experience either as a solo traveler, as a family traveler, or as a business traveler. So how do we connect the two dots in terms of providing you that experience using technology as a platform and an enabler is something that we need to look at. As you rightly said, people don't have to invest in tech much more anymore because they can always piggyback on somebody who has already developed a robust, reasonable, and a most experiential technology. So there are thousands of them available out there. Now, I'm looking at a few interesting questions, but some of them I would like to answer myself. One has asked a question saying, why can't the younger person and travel? Because they are not susceptible to COVID. Now, that's something that has not been guaranteed by anyone. So I can't, in a good public platform, say, please take your youngsters and start traveling. So unless otherwise we have evidence that younger people are not susceptible to COVID, I would not recommend it at all. If that answers the question from one of the readers. The other question, of course, was on digital vaccine again. So my recommendation is people should reach out to Vinay on a one-to-one offline, learn more about what he showed us today in terms of Nexus. Was it Vinay? Yeah, and talk to him about it. I think what I want to ask the panelists, because there are not many more questions than that. I mean, obviously, everybody asks the question. I'm also connected to the publishing industry, education industry, where the same questions is asked of me. Why isn't the government giving us money? Let's be very clear. Government has no money. People only have money can give you money. People who don't have money cannot give you money. So, so let's not pose this question again and again, because in every platform when I go there, they're asking about this, and the answer is very straight. You give more money to the government may give you more money back. So let's close it at that. That's the only way I can answer that question. The next one is, of course, all of us have gone to Africa at some point or the other, and we carried a yellow card, and which was valid for 10 years. And without that card, you couldn't enter Africa or some specific countries. I think it's not a rocket science for any government, and particularly government of India, to introduce such cards for even domestic travel. Why can't it allow people to get themselves tested, get a certified card, so that their travel becomes seamless? Because as Khanna was saying, like every day I have to go to the website to see which city has a e-pass, which city doesn't have an e-pass, which city has this, which city has that. Why can't we make one standard note saying anybody can go, get tested, get a card, and that becomes a passport for travel, even for domestic? I think I remember Deep Kalra mentioning this in one of the meetings very strongly, saying he will take it up with the government. I hope he has. This is a very important aspect to develop tourism. So the question I have, one word answer from everybody quickly before we close, is that how much is going to be real, how much is going to be rhetoric? Because whether you read media, whether you watch television, whether you attend webinars, everybody is gung-ho and saying, don't worry, things are coming back. Don't worry, that's happening. Don't worry, this is happening. But in the reality, the dollars are not kicking in. The galla is still fairly empty. So,
can I answer that question?
Yes, one at a time, and please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think, as I said in the beginning, see, the recovery is very painful. You have flights which are flying. You had a very pleasant experience, Shesh, that your flights were full. But the truth is, the load factor on the flights is not beyond 50% in many of the flights. That's one. Two,
No,
on
also,
the international side.
no, also because only 47% of the traffic has been
Capacity.
permitted.
Correct. So imagine you have a 45% of the capacity which has been permitted. Within that capacity, you have a 50% load factor. So imagine if tomorrow the government says open 100%, you can imagine the load factor, what's going to happen to the load factor. So it's very, very natural that the recovery is going to be very slow. It's not going to be a hockey stick jump. Second point, what you mentioned about the PCR test. I think we as a travel trade, need to get together and communicating this to the consumers. PCR test is a new normal, and it is a very, very normal thing to do. The consumers, the government, we shouldn't be, especially the hospitals, the municipal corporation, they should not be putting a stigma on a customer if the customer turned out positive. More the number of people we have negative, certificate holders, more the consumers ready you have as a travelers. I think that should be the single agenda focus for the tourism ministry, the government, the trade, and more the people with negative certificate. Everybody wants negative certificate, COVID negative customers. Nobody wants positive customers.
I think you touched on a very good point, because even now the government has finally withdrawn putting up notices on homes saying this is a COVID home, because that is a huge stigma in terms of public perception. And I think a similar thing happens in travel as well. So, Vinay, do you want to have a quick word? I've got exactly 2 minutes to close the meeting.
No, I think so. In general, I agree with the view shared on the platform. It was a good meeting, everyone. Thank you.
Jyoti?
Yeah, okay. Just to add on to that I had said that initially also, that RT-PCR has come into place where inbound travel is coming in. Very soon it's going to be announced for all countries in the air bubbles to be adopting that. But the health certificate and the health passport, as we call it, will come into place, because RT-PCR results cannot be predicted. It's good today and it's good tomorrow too. So there is no window, because there is no whole clarity. This is 7-day incubation time, or it is a 14 days incubation time. So it cannot be for domestic initially, but antibody testing needs to be taken in place, and it should be done without prescription. The RT-PCR test will be come into place without prescription, because Deep Kalra and myself have been created the same document. But one thing we can like to say that here is that we really need to collaborate and consolidate and motivate each other to travel, because tourism will never die. Like you said, tourism is all about experiences. We are human beings. We are not robots. We need to feel and touch and need to enjoy life. And just to add on, in Gujarat, today we have a team of 4 people who are going to be covering 32 states in India, and they've started on a drive to actually motivate and see what it is in all states, and they're going to cover those in 18 days to move forward. So that's the initiative TAI has taken to see that this happens, and we are all looking at all states to cover that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm going to say 2 sentences in closing, is that what is more and more clear to us looking around the world, looking at the reports, is that showcasing the local for the global seems to be my mantra now. Not only apart from showing India to the Indians, I think showcasing the local for the global. And I think what we should all resolve is to say that with the pandemic which is going around, we should not miss this as an opportunity to showcase India and see how we can benefit from this crisis rather than moan about this crisis. So thank you, listeners, for listening in. Thank you. Appreciate your time and staying on with us.
I would like to say something, Mr. Shashi.
Sure, Kanna, Mr. Kanna.
We are talking about the RT-PCR, the rapid test, everything is there. Now, government is spending huge of money on the medical, expenses. I mean, it is. We like to have that RT-PCR test is very, very expensive. According to the, if 4% of a family they go out, I mean, one state to another state, so it means almost what they are spending 10,000 rupees on the medical test only. So it is required that at least this test should be low cost, the test, so that the people can afford it and they can travel much more.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think that's a good point. So thank you very much. I also appreciate the panelists for not only sticking to their time, but also giving some fantastic thought processes that people can learn from. Good afternoon and thank you very much.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.